Spreadsheet Geek here. I'm going to talk tonight about a quick lesson that I go over that exposes students to some new concepts, um, large data sets in a spreadsheet, and the tools that you use for large data sets. This is illustrated with Google Sheets, but it works fine for Microsoft Excel if you're using Excel primarily. When you get to the Google Sheets part, just choose File, Download as Excel, and you'll have an Excel copy, and you can do all the same stuff. Um, the basic idea here, this fits in really well as a one-day lesson when you have a weird break, like you finish with something on a Thursday, you don't want to start something new on a Friday. It fits in really well on that Friday. So it's not something that needs to be done in sequence with anything else really. So it works really well as a standalone one-day activity, except you need to plan ahead and do a little bit the day before. So I'll get into that. Um, you need 2 days, but it's really a one-day activity, if that makes sense. What I do basically is I create a Google form for students to fill out, and on the Google form, all they're doing is typing in the name of a movie or a TV series or a Netflix series, and they're giving it a rating on a scale of 1 to 5. So they do this on the first day. And they rate 5 or 10 movies because it only takes 20 seconds to rate one. All you're doing is typing in the name and giving it a score from 1 to 5. So I'll tell the students to rate 5 or 10 movies on the first day. So I'll pass out the Google form. They rate 5 or 10 movies, and that's it. That's all you do on day one. It only takes them 5 minutes at most. I actually have all of my classes do it. Doesn't matter if they're doing spreadsheets or not. I have all of my classes do it because it only takes a few minutes. And if I have 100 kids, 120 kids throughout my high school day, and each one of them does 5 to 10 ratings, I'm going to get 500 to 1,000 pieces of data. And that's kind of the goal here. So on day one, I have them fill out the form. What's the name of a movie and what do you rate it? And I have every student fill that form out, 5 or 10 students, every student all day. Between days 1 and day 2, I will look at the results, and I will download those results into a spreadsheet, which is only a few clicks, so that goes pretty quick. And then I will make a copy of that spreadsheet, and on day 2, which is the real day, on day 2, I will give all of the students a copy of that spreadsheet. When they look at the copy of the spreadsheet, they're going to notice that it's really big, that there's a lot of data in that spreadsheet, probably bigger than anything that you've had them work with in class so far. And I think this is one of the key objectives, is that most of the data sets that I work with when I'm teaching spreadsheets are pretty small. You can see them on one screen typically without scrolling. So sometimes I think students get the false impression that most data sets are this size. They're pretty small. And when they look at a really big data set, or if you were to give them a really big data set, they think, well, that's not, nobody would ever create a data set that big. But really, this data set is not created by anybody's work individually. This is the work of a lot. This is a little bit of work from a lot of people, right? And that's how this data set gets so big. So I think it helps students see how data sets can get big without a big individual effort on one person's part. And once you do have a big data set, you can start working with some larger data set tools like sorting and filtering. And you can talk about cleaning data. So if you're doing a data collection project and you're letting humans enter things, humans do stupid things. So you get spellings, you get typos, and just normalizing the data is a valuable exercise. So that's the gist of it. You give students this small task to do. They do it a bunch of times. A bunch of students do it a bunch of times, and you end up with a big data set. And then the bulk of it is what can you do with big data sets? What tools help you work with big data sets? So let's get into the details and how this works, kind of how the nitty-gritty of this works. I'll kind of walk you through what I do step by step. So here we go. So this lesson only takes about 45 to 60 minutes, but it does need to take place over 2 days. Prior to anything happening with students, you'll need to create a very quick and easy Google form.
To create that form, you're going to go to Google Forms and add a new form. Then you're going to change the title, enter a form description, and there's really only two questions that you'll need to ask. The first question is the name of the movie or the title of the movie or show. And the second question is to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is low and 5 is high. When you've got those two questions added, it's just a matter of sending the form. And what I'll usually do is use the link option and copy the link. And then I'll distribute that to my students on Google Classroom or however you like to distribute links to students. So it only takes about 5 minutes on day one. And I'll actually have all of my classes do this. It doesn't matter if they're working on spreadsheets or not. If I have a marketing class that day, I'll have the marketing kids go in and spend 3 to 5 minutes entering data and ranking movies. So if I have 5 classes in a day and I got 25 kids per class, I'm going to get 125 kids taking that survey on day one. It really doesn't take long. The kids don't mind doing it. It's a nice little change of pace from whatever else we're working on in that class. So I'm going to have all of my kids in all of my classes do this on day one. Now, between day one and day two, you're going to need to go in your form, look at your responses, and you're going to need to turn those responses into a spreadsheet. Then you can take that spreadsheet and share that with your students. Give them a copy that they can use to make their own copy, so that everybody has access to all of the data from all of the kids in all of the classes. When day two rolls around, they filled out the form yesterday. They ranked a few movies. All of your classes did it. You've got a ton of data. You can distribute the data to them. So that spreadsheet that you created on day one. And you can distribute an activity guide or a worksheet, which I'm going to link in the description. Feel free to make changes to it, but that worksheet just basically has some sorting, filtering, and cleaning activities to do with it, along with some a little toothier stuff at the end, which would be to tell a data story and discuss how such a big spreadsheet got created with very little effort on anybody's part individually.
So that's about it. I hope it's something that you can use in your classrooms. Students typically like it because they enjoy working with the data, and it's data that they created and their classmates created and even friends that they have in other classes. So they usually enjoy working with the data and looking at the data, and I do think it does a good job of meeting its objectives. If you can use it and if you enjoy it, that's great. I'd appreciate it if you did a like, a subscribe, share it with your friends. Um, and check out my other videos. I've got a handful more up right now, and I'm going to be adding a bunch more in the not too distant future. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Good luck in your rooms.